So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. I'm super excited to have you guys with me today so I can share some thoughts and maybe a tip or two, something that's going to help you on your weight loss journey so that we can do it for real this time. No more looking for the next fancy diet or fancy magic pill or potion or any of that nonsense. What you're going to get here is just tried and true, I guess, facts is what I would call them, where you're going to be able to make changes in your life that are sustainable long term. So you can lose the weight and actually know how to keep it off for the rest of your life. Keeping it off, it's still your choice. You've got to make good choices for the rest of your life, but you'll know what to do. So that's what this podcast is all about. So stay tuned, because today I want to talk about how weight loss is not linear. It's actually more like the stock market. That's the way I would describe it. And I think sometimes we conjure up the thinking in our mind that it's going to happen on a certain, structure or process or timing or X amount per week. And that's what's going to happen. If I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get the result of whatever that number might be. But that's not really how it works. There's a lot of stuff going on in our bodies. There can be inflammation, there can be injuries, there can be all these other things that will impact it. So what we were looking for is a downward trend rather than, a specific number every single week, right? And where this becomes problematic is when people start on any diet, whatever diet that may be, or exercise regime, and they expect a certain amount and it doesn't come. And then they think that that program is not working, whatever that program is. And I spend a lot of my time talking to people who are on my program, and the first week they might lose really big, and then the next week they might get a little bit of a pullback. It's not quite as big, and they go, what? I lost so much the first week and then not so much the next week. And so I help them to understand that it's not linear. It's the grind that you've got to continue every day. And weight loss is like the stock market, where you have a big drop and then you might have a little bit of a hold for a few days. I'm not talking weeks, by the way. I'm talking a couple of days or maybe 1 week, and then you'll have another big drop. And keeping your head in the right place is the hardest part of this journey, because so many women, particularly that I speak to, they might get a drop, whatever program they're doing, but they get a drop and then they don't get a drop the next week or the next week, and they're like, oh, this doesn't work, quit. That's what I hear a lot. So how do you stay on that path? Let me share a couple of examples about what will happen if you stay on the right path in losing weight, because it will keep coming off. When you're in calorie deficit, your body can't not lose weight. Eventually, it's going to lose weight. It will happen. So I just want to give you an example. There was a lady I worked with, Jo. She was a ripper. She was doing so well throughout the program, but she was one of those ladies that would weigh in every single day. And I would say to her, Jo, don't do that. Don't weigh in every day. Because if you weigh in every day, your body, there's a bit of fluctuation in that process, right? So some days you might be up 100 grams and the next day you might be down 1.5 kilos. That's how much it can fluctuate. Fluctuate. That's how much it can fluctuate throughout the process. I mean, if you wake up in the morning and weigh yourself, you'll be 1.5 kilos heavier in the evening when you weigh yourself. Water in your body and everything causes your body to increase in weight and then decrease in weight overnight, so forth. So Jo was on this process with me, and she weighed herself for 36 days in a row. 36, every single day of the program. And she'd lost weight every single day. She's like, how good is this? This is the best. And then one day she didn't lose weight. One day. And she called me up and she was quite upset. She's like, it's not working. She put on 200 grams or whatever it was. And I said, hang on, Jo. I want you to stop, and I want you to not look at it for a week. So we had, a bit deeper, meaningful, if you like. But we just spoke about what happens in the body and what's going on and how, all hormonal changes can cause little ups and downs. But I said, I just want you to leave it and don't weigh in until next week. She didn't take the advice and continue to weigh, but over the course of that next week, she lost 1.7 kilos. So for me, that was a great example of how even halfway through the weight loss journey, she still had some big drops that are in there. But sometimes we can get so obsessed with the number on the scales each and every day that we don't allow our body time to actually do what you're trying to make it do, which is lose weight. So you need to give it some time and not have the expectation that I did this many steps, I ate this food, and I had all the right food, and I moved every day, and I drank lots of water. So water, what was I saying? Water, food, and walking. You did all those things every day, the same amount. How come I didn't lose weight the exact same number as what I lost last week? I did the exact same thing. But because of, water changes in our body, maybe your body's holding a little bit more water, or some hormonal changes, it cannot drop quite as consistently as what you want. So it's not always linear. That's a really important point. But it will drop. And so Jo had this moment where it didn't drop, but then it did drop again. And another one was Danny. I remember Danny came to me, this other lady, and she lost a heap of weight in the first week. Ended up losing over 20 kilos in 9 weeks, by the way. But she lost a heap of weight in the first week. Then she came to me the next week. She goes, it's not even working, Baron. I've only lost 300 grams. And I said, you know what? Stick with the process, stop whining, and go away and get it done, and come back to me in 4 days and tell me your weight change. She came back in 4 days after a slower week of only 300 grams, and she came back and she told me that she'd lost 1.8 kilos in the following 4 days. This is my point. You'll get a drop and a hold, and a drop and a hold, and a drop. They're not plateaus. Plateaus aren't real. I'm going to talk about that later in another podcast episode. But when you're doing the right things, if you're in calorie deficit, your body will use the energy that it needs to use, and it will find it from somewhere else. And generally, it's going to find it from your fat stores if you're not putting enough energy in your mouth. That's just how it works. So if you want to keep your head in the game of losing weight, first of all, I would say don't weigh every single day and allow your body its time to make that change. But setting expectations in your mind is really, really important, because if you have an expectation that it's going to be X, Y, and Z, and that doesn't happen, that can get you quite dejected. And it's the same as doing heavy exercise, like I mentioned on the other podcast. When you do heavy exercise, you might end up gaining weight because of what's going on in your body. And so having the right expectations for what you're doing is really, really important. So the takeaway from today is this: weight loss is not linear. You will lose at different rates on different weeks, even if you do the exact same thing. Does that mean it's not working? Absolutely not. It means that you need to keep going. I think I already told you early on about Jeremy, who's lost 50 kilos. 50 kilos. Do you reckon every week he lost the same amount? Absolutely not. Some weeks he gained weight, some weeks he lost weight, some weeks he lost massive, and other weeks he didn't lose much at all. That is just the way the body works. And so if you can go in with that expectation and go, right, instead of trying to find a reason why this is not working, we need to make the decision that this is my new life. I'm going to live healthy. Remember what I said on the other podcast? If you want to feel like, look like, smell like a healthy person, then you've got to do what healthy people do. Right? If I want to be a millionaire, I'm going to do what millionaires do. I'm going to try. If I want to be healthy, then I'm going to do what healthy people do. And healthy people aren't going to quit on their attempt to be healthy or stay healthy because the scales don't look good one day. It's completely irrelevant. That's more of a driver to go, I better make sure I'm on to keep going and go a little bit harder the next time and be more consistent. So it's about the consistency that you need every day. So if you are weighing every day and you're feeling a little bit discouraged because you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, first thing I would say, stop weighing every day. Stop expecting a particular number every week and decide instead to make good decisions about your food and eat good, clean food. Most of that doesn't come out of a packet. Eat good, clean food every day. Every day, every day, every day. I could say that lots of times because that's the key. And if you do that every day, you move every day and you drink lots of water, the weight loss will come. Sometimes it will come in big chunks and sometimes it will come in little chunks. And sometimes you'll hold and sometimes you might even put on just a smidge. But the thing that Danny and Jo did really well is they didn't quit. They didn't cry about it. They didn't sook about it. They just moved. They went, this sucks. All right, I'll keep going. They kept going. And what happened? Both lost massive in the following week. That is what you've got ahead of you. If you keep doing the right things and you've lost a bit of weight, then you've held a little bit, keep doing those same things and you'll get your drop a little bit later. It'll come. It's not linear, so don't expect it to be. But expect it to come. It'll come. The weight loss will come. You've got to be consistent and stick at it. So don't look for a way out. Look for a way to stay on the process and you'll get to where you want to be. I'll be back tomorrow with another tip, another trick that will help you on your weight loss journey. Have an awesome evening.